Hello everyone. My name is Peter. Welcome to the true stories being shared here. Please sit back and listen to today's story. AITA for not wanting to date someone who criticized my work. I'm a published author, and by that, I mean I'm not James Patterson, Stephen King, etc., but I don't write for the purpose of making it big. I just make some fun money from selling my books. In any given month, I make around $100,300 and from a new release, depending on the genre and the time of year. As I said, I don't do it for the money. I have a full-time job and do a lot of other gigs as a performance artist because it makes me happy. Artistic expression just makes my world brighter and helps me avoid falling into a bad cycle of mental health issues, as I've been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and PTSD, or what I like to call the holy bullshit. Thankfully, that's its name. I started writing as a kid because I'm dyslexic, very much so, like the kind of dyslexic where when you spell a word weirdly and someone looks like they want to jump into oncoming traffic. I'm worse. Don't give me verbal directions, FFS, text them. Period. Anything. The second the wordy part of my brain has to know too many words at once, I panic. I've tried every class, app, TikTok hack, it's just not my strong suit. I'm good at other things like coding or planning events, etc. I have other strengths. So I just do my best and keep swimming like a dyslexic dory. That said, I was teased and bullied relentlessly throughout my childhood and into adulthood for being seen as stupid, so the scars are still there. For example, I was in the local newspaper small town attending a school event. I was maybe in second grade at the oldest. I created an entire imaginary town out of recycled materials and had a story to go with it as my year-end project. I worked on it for months, even figuring out how to make it fold up for easier transport on my grandpa's pickup truck. My story was 10 chapters long and written in my messy kid handwriting. I had a teacher named Mrs. Smith. That's her real name because F that woman, and it's common enough. She said my project was low grade, but I guess I shouldn't expect much from you, and walked away. Her son, who was my classmate, pushed my project over and destroyed it. He smashed my little clay figurines of people and pets, and as if that wasn't enough, he pointed and laughed at me while I cried. Then he posted copies of the newspaper article with my picture, but added a dumb face and laughing emojis all over the school, in the lunchroom, homeroom, everywhere. I mean, the guy could have cured cancer if had put that determination towards something productive. I'll give him that. If you're reading this, Tyler, F you in particular, and may your socks always be slightly damp. I was unlucky enough to move away, and Tyler's mom came too, so guess who was privileged to have that gem for 3 more classes? Tyler shoved my locker in 4th grade. He called me stupid every single day. By 5th grade, I was mocked as dumb and fat. I was a scrawny kid. Fast forward, and now I'm in my 30s, still dyslexic. I live in a different state. I have a life and learn to deal with my brain and its quirky functions. I've worked through childhood trauma, therapy, etc. There's this guy I like, Brian, and Brian seemed to like me too. So we decided to hang out casually, not date, to see if we had enough vibes to consider dating, his words an idea. We'd hung out alone a few times, but once he came over too late, so I had my laptop out. He saw me when he arrived and asked what I was doing, and I shyly said I was working on my next book. He asked more questions, and I told him I published my first book when I was 17 and have published at least one every year since. I also told him about Mrs. Smith and Tyler and some other horror stories I won't get into because this is now a novel itself, lol. But those experiences motivated me to prove them wrong and beat the weird stigma that neurodiverse people are stupid, etc. He asked to read it, then I said no. I intentionally use a pen name because those Amazon reviews can make you want to eat your soul from your body, so I separate it from my daily life. Well, it turns out that if you know me and my quirky joys, my pen name is pretty easy to guess. From there, it's easy to find because I mentioned Amazon, and I guess my bio makes it pretty clear. At our next meetup, he asked if I was the author, and my shocked Pikachu face gave it all away. so he started reading the series. He came back the next time we met and laughed, saying, "I see why you didn't put your name on your work. Don't quit your day job, your writing is terrible," and he placed a copy of one of my books on the bar. I couldn't help but slump down. He just kept laughing, not seeing my expression, and kept talking about how he wasted hours of his life, and how if someone should take my laptop, because it could be a deadly weapon aimed at boring us all to death. It turns out he doesn't like mysteries or fantasy. I said maybe it wasn't his genre, and he said no, but a third-grade R word could do better, and it's a good thing I'm good at my day job. That's when he finally noticed my expression and backpedaled. "I mean, clearly, you don't do it for the money, so it's fine, right?" and said I have other strengths, but he couldn't believe I made money from this. He confidently asserted that I must be buying good reviews and bulk buying my own books to boost sales. I don't do any of that. I just smiled and said, "Well, I can't please everyone, but I made $250 in this month alone from my last book sales, so some people definitely like it," and laughed. But at that moment, I knew I didn't want to pursue him anymore. When he texted to see if I was planning our next hangout, I was honest and texted back that I wasn't interested and said that while I can take notes or criticism, the way he handled it was hurtful, and I didn't want to be with someone who treats me like that over a hobby. I said we're different people, but I'd like to remain friends, as we got along well otherwise, but nothing more. He snapped back that I picked the worst time to lash out because he was having a bad day, and now I made it worse, and that I was rude and petty for getting mad at honest feedback. He said if I'm that sensitive to honest opinions, good luck finding anyone who wants my stupidity, since looks are all I have with makeup and my job, and there's nothing between my ears. I blocked him, but we have a mutual friend group, and almost all of them asked me what was going on, and that I broke his heart. In thinking, what? How? They said he's been moping and asking about me and found out I blocked everything of his and wanted to give me a birthday gift. My birthday was last week, and I didn't invite him. My friends said we're adults, and this is immature. I mean, I'm not a saint and have toxic traits, but I don't want to be with someone who criticizes me and my work like that, and treats me like Banthapudu. Am I crazy? Am I the a-hole? Update on May 5, 2024. Hey Zo, for those interested, Brian has been telling all our friends that I rubbed my achievements in his face and called him stupid. I never said anything like that. He also told them about my post, so somehow he found it and started telling everyone I was trying to smear him, as girls can ruin a man's reputation with the snap of their fingers, and suggesting my next move would be to say he assaulted me. Some of our friends harshly criticized me, saying I was bullying him and trying to ruin his rep, and all he did was ask a girl he liked out for drinks, and that I need to apologize and just give in and go for a drink with him. Since then, they've outright stopped inviting me to group hangouts or events, and it's been tough. I was really confused because he was the one who mocked me, and I've been struggling with myself, replaying every conversation, wondering if I accidentally said or did something to upset him. It wasn't until I checked our text history and messages that I thought of sending screenshots of him calling me stupid, and then, after I turned him down, calling me fat, desperate, and dumb. And there were more messages like that after he found my book series. So I screenshotted them and sent them to my friends, and they were shocked. Apparently, according to Brian, my sweet demeanor masked my judgmental and cruel side, and I led him on and called him a loser when I told him I didn't want to date him. I even pettily went back before all this and screenshotted some of the rude or mean texts he'd sent. And I screenshotted my actual rejection text and his response, then sent those along too. Now the tables have turned, and most of our friends think he's the and two of our friends are saying him cherry-picking screenshots to make him look like the villain, and they've seen real screenshots of me bullying him. I asked them to show those screenshots, but they refused and said I wouldn't worry about them if I was innocent, like some kind of gotcha. I feel really bad because I wanted to keep things friendly, but I can never look at him with any respect again. I'm glad things have smoothed out with my friends, minus the two holdouts who are now out of the group too, so everything is returning to normal. I'm hosting my first publishing party for my next book, and everyone is invited except them. It's strange, it's over, but oh well. Update 2 on June 22, 2024. So, this escalated to unnecessary drama. I'm not sure how to properly update like I mentioned in my last post, but I learned to link them, thanks to some kind Reddit folk. So here's my last post, link to post. Anyway, I chose to ignore Brian and any attempts he made to rile me up. He apologized to the group, but then said he was coerced or ostracized. He's been saying I'm using social capital to go after him and has since tried to get any harsh words directly from me, which I haven't given him. After a month, I can list my top 5 favorites. Going to places I usually go and sitting close to me, no matter how much space is available elsewhere, or I move my usual spot far away, and hell loudly phone call talk about the BTCH who broke his heart because women are so sensitive. Creating an alt account on most social media to find and follow my public accounts, and as a substitute, I block him, comment, reviews on any of my artwork, books, performances, modeling, doesn't matter, hell comment why I'm terrible, and then will just create a new account when I block the last one and delete his comment. Whenever group chat invites pop up for events and I say I'll go, he'll reply that my girlfriend is so kind, but doesn't think she likes me hanging out with you, etc. And if I don't respond to invites until after he does, he'll say it's good I'm not coming because of his girlfriend, or that he now can't come because if I'm there, his girlfriend will get upset over an ex. We never dated. When any of us ask who his girlfriend is, he says she's shy and he'll introduce her eventually, etc. I'm speaking at a conference and excitedly shared it in the group chat, and everyone congratulated me, but he said it's fine, but not newsworthy, and then looked up the conference and saw I had a relative also presenting and implied I only got the spot because of that, not on my own merit. Revealing this Reddit name to the group, and linking my first post as evidence I'm bullying him despite not talking to him, not naming him, and leaving most, if not all, identifying info about him out. He insists I edited out the worst parts, and I can't prove I didn't. So all that happened, and yes, I unblocked his phone number, only because it skewed what I was seeing in the group chat, and I got lazy and didn't figure it out. Moreover, he hasn't texted me directly since. About a week ago, I went to my parents' house a short drive away from mine, and planned to stay for about a week. I only told a few friends in the group who didn't side with Brian during the first round of BS. I used the time to work, then spent non-work time on my book and came up with a new pen name. I decided to revamp the entire fictional universe I created, and got super excited after designing the cover for my next book. I shared it with everyone in the group except him and his 2 flying monkeys, but he still found out and freaked out in the group chat, saying I'm trying to show off again, and that I'm trying to one-up him, since we all know damn well he's publishing his first book on Amazon this summer, and I published mine at the same time with my fancy cover, etc., as just another form of bullying. He compared it to wearing white to his wedding. I have to be honest here. I've had enough. I've put up with this behavior for months now. So I bluntly said he never mentioned a book to me, and I shared a screenshot of him calling writing for the R word, but unlike the previous share, I didn't blank out the word. What a difference a word makes. Apparently, the group thinks the word I blanked out was kinder and not a slur, and we as a group are pretty diverse in all aspects, be it politically. So they asked him to clarify the slur, and he said he's autistic and can use that word like how I'm black and can say the N-word, except he typed out the full word. I said, right, so I'm done with this, and left the chat. I didn't argue or do anything else besides leave the chat. I was working at the time, and put my phone down like, that's enough human interaction for today, and got back to work. This angry man texted me for hours until I got off work, saw his texts and blocked him. I then saw ads on FB and Instagram for his book, paying for social media ads, his name on the cover, and comments below calling the book amazing, a masterpiece, undiluted artistry, etc., and his book isn't even out yet. His release date is August. I remember because my next book comes out in July, and he's used it as further proof I'm one-upping him, like setting my wedding date before my sibling to spite them. A few nights ago, he saw me at a place I usually go to for karaoke, and I have to admit I was pretty annoyed when he approached me. He came in for a hug, and I stepped back, coldly but politely said hello. He sensed my attitude and raised his hands, laughing, "Oh, you're in a mood, huh?" And I chose to ignore him and move closer to the singers and some friends. A few regulars told him to leave me alone, and he spun a tale that we slept together and I led him on, and now am ignoring him and acting like I hate him all because he's writing a book. He said I inspired him to write and am mad because his book is better and quoted the reviews he's gotten on social media. Well, that was enough for some people to call him a coward and he stormed out. Yelling and stuff. He started shouting for me to come over here and tell them the truth, and that I'm trying to ruin his reputation, and at the time we slept together. It never happened. Will end with me lying about being assaulted. Turns out, if you start yelling things like that in public during a karaoke night, with someone a lot of the room knows well you get thrown out. Since then, things have been wonderfully quiet. I told our group what happened and he's left the group chat. Some still talk to him. The two who refused earlier, but they haven't outright booed me. So I guess this will be my final update. Not too interesting, but it's wild, and I had to share. My neighbors know, because one of the bar regulars lives a short walk away, and he's been telling everyone at the community pool, etc. I have such nice people who I've never talked to but have seen while walking my dog, etc., saying they're keeping an eye out for me coming home and to call if I need anything. I didn't know people could be like this because he never acted like this before. He's always been sweet to everyone in the group, and we agreed on most things. He'd compliment me, tell me how smart and beautiful I was, even joke, "I'm not flirting with you," and laugh. Honestly, I'm excited for August. He'll be the first to buy his book. He's using his real name and advertising it, so he. Update 3 on August 16, 2024. Sorry, I forgot to update after saying my last update was final, and I mostly just read posts and am not used to writing them. A commenter reminded me of this, so here's the update since last month because if you don't care, you don't need to read it, but if you do, here it is. For reference, my last post was about a guy I used to like. I think I called him Brian, who basically negated me. I hope I used that term correctly, particularly about the books I write and have written since I was 17 and then pretty much going nuts when I told him because of this. I didn't want to date him. If you want to read it, it's here linked to post. So Brian's promised book dropped on the first cover, looks like it was AI generated, and I know he's really into some site/program called Mid-Journey he's been memeing this month on Amazon. His page promised this is the start of a series. Even before it launched, it was getting high praise that it was a masterpiece, so okay, I went and bought myself a copy. It's a fantasy story. About 30 chapters. I don't want to say too many details that could identify him or myself, though I'm not too sure there are that many other people reading it, but I assume I can share that it's vulgar, but like how a horny teen would want it to be, if that makes sense. I actually read the whole thing. There's an elf character with my real name that the main character sleeps with, and she's described much like my appearance, including my unnaturally colored hair. In the end, she's revealed to be a narcissistic traitor and is killed like Game of Thrones style kill. I talked to a few friends who know us both about the book, even bringing it around, and we spent a lot of time reading parts of it while drinking, and my friends all agreed it's an angry piece of writing. They even pointed out other characters with names and vaguely described appearances of others Brian knows or has mentioned, and people we know he doesn't like the group of friends who cut ties with him. All do something terrible to them, and the characters named after his two friends, the ones who sided with him. Still waiting on those screenshots and proof I bullied this man, folks. Become dominant in this fictional land and are depicted as heroic companions to the main character with his real name and, of course, the hero of the story. It's got some plot holes, and I'm not trying to be mean, but it's unedited, and it shows. I promise I'm not trying to be cruel about this, because the guy wrote a book, and I know from personal experience that alone is a feat. It's hard, and at times maddening, taking a lot of heart and time. I'm not trying to downplay his effort, fair play, but it's clearly rushed. The chapters are uneven in length, some extremely short and jumbled, others super long and rambling. If you write a book, get someone to edit it. Trust me on this. I'm also wordy. If you couldn't tell, Elmao, plus my mind is so bad at spotting spelling errors and alike, you don't want something out there that no one's at least read through once to check for these issues. Brian caught me about a week ago and struck up a conversation with me. He didn't care about me. I knew what was up before he opened his mouth. He needed to talk about his book. He was being so nice to me, it was genuinely so nice it was annoying, but I couldn't quite explain his look. He hates me. He started recounting the whole tale that he also wrote a book, and it was easy, and it's selling super well, maybe better than mine. His exact wording, because it was such an obvious jab I couldn't forget, was, "Yeah, I was surprised. I think I doubled your numbers or something. Maybe it's the way I marketed it or something. Maybe you should try." And he proceeded to give me advice I so clearly needed. Then it was time he handed me a copy to read. I told him, "Oh, I already have a copy. I bought it as soon as it was available." He looked shocked to hear that, and I said, of course, I wanted to support other authors. And he said, "You did? Where is it?" And I said I'd loaned it to a friend. And anyway, he handed me another copy, sidestepping the fact that he assumed I was lying or being sarcastic. I'd earlier snapped a photo to send to a friend over text, so I showed him the photo on my phone of his book on my coffee table, and he dismissed that with, "Now you have another one so your friend can keep the other." I thanked him and went on with my day, but he followed my path and asked if I'd read it and then what I thought of it. I shrugged, and he grinned wide and muttered loudly, "Yeah, I figured you'd act like that," but I kept moving. A mutual friend sent screenshots of a Facebook post he made that night about how people are so jealous, funny, and pathetic, and how his book had set records. That friend then commented on the post asking for a screenshot of the dashboard showing said sales numbers, and he commented on a photo I sent in our old group chat of my sales numbers from a few months ago when I had a sales boost. So my friend took the time to scroll back in the chat, screenshot the part that showed that was mine, and commented below, which caused a lot of drama in the comments. People quickly turned from congratulating to WTF, and Brian deleted the entire post and blocked my friend. Since then he's publicly avoided me but kept up his fake social media accounts and insulted me at every opportunity. He talks to himself as these alt accounts gossiping about how fake, rude, bullying, jealous, and the like I am. If I block one, another pops up, and a comment will appear from a different account calling me out for blocking anyone I don't agree with for calling me out. I've stopped blocking mainly because, in our new group chat, we post screenshots of the comments and messages, and it's become a sort of game to spot his accounts. So, Brian, because I know you're reading this, I'll keep this account, and I've found the alt-writers here, so I'll stick around. You can follow this account, and good luck on the next installment. I'll be the first to buy it. P.S. Thanks for the social media boost. It's helping my accounts show up more. I appreciate the free marketing.